Alright, so today we're going to be working on top-down shooter movement that looks at the mouse and moves around according to keyboard input. First thing we're going to do is hop into a new Unity project that I've got set up here and create a new 2D sprite. This will be our player sprite, and first we want to reset the transform and name it player. We're next going to add a sprite to it, and I've got heaps of these sprites from a great pack that I'll show you in a minute that is completely free. It's the top-down soldier pack, and it's got multiple sprites, all animated as well, and it's completely free on OpenGameArt. I do recommend checking it out, and please support Riley Gombart, who has made these assets for us to use. Alright, so we'll head back into Unity now, and back on our player, we have to add some components. First we're going to add a circle collider 2D, and make sure that's fitted around to the sprite properly. So I'm just going to decrease the radius and change the offset slightly. Next we're going to add a rigid body 2D. This will manage the movement for the player, and we have to make sure that the gravity scale is set to 0 so our player doesn't fall. Next we're going to add a new script and call it the player controller and create an add. Once that's added, we want to open it up in Visual Studio. First thing we're going to do is add some variables, so create a public float move speed. This will control how fast our player moves, a public float, rotation offset. I'll explain this in a little bit. We want to have a public camera, I'm just going to call it cam, and a private rigid body 2D named rig. First thing we're going to do is reference the rigid body on our game object, so get component rigid body 2D. And then our update function, we want to change this to a fixed update since we're dealing with physics. And then we're going to create two more voids, a private void move and a private void rotate. And I'm just going to call both of those in our fixed update. Alright, so in the move void, first thing we want to do is create a new float, h, and we're going to set that to our input.getAccess horizontal. So what we're doing here is getting our keyboard input currently. And then we want to create another float v and get our input.getAccess vertical. This will allow you to use either WASD or your arrow keys depending on how you have it set up in your input settings. Then we set our rig.move position to a transform.position plus a new vector 3, which is going to be our horizontal by our vertical. I'm going to times that by our move speed, and then times that by time.fixed delta time. And we use fixed delta time because it's in a physics update in the fixed update loop. Alright, so now in the void rotate, we first want to create a vector 3 mouse position, and we're going to set that equal to our camera dot screen to world point of our input dot mouse position. So this converts a screen position to our world position, and then set our mouse pos.z is equal to our transform.position.z. This is just so it removes it from our calculations when we minus them. Then create a vector 3 difference, which is going to be our mouse position minus our transform.position. And this will actually give us a direction. Then set a float rotation, z is going to be equal to our mathf.tan2, and then it's tan is y over x, so we do difference.y over difference.x, and that returns it in radians, so we have to multiply that by mathf.radians to degrees. And then we want to set that rotation. So we do rig.rotation is equal to rotation z plus our rotation offset. Okay, so camera.screen to world position, input.mouse position. What this does is it changes a screen coordinate to a world coordinate in game. Your screen coordinate is based off your resolution, so for me 1920 by 1080, and that converts that point in the screen to a 3D game coordinate. In the first line, the vector3.difference, mouse pos minus transform.position, what this does is it returns a direction of the mouse in relation to the player's position. mathf.atn2 difference.y over difference.x. What this does is tan returns an angle in between two lines. And we use y over x to work out our z rotation. But this returns a rotation in radians. So to change it back to degrees, we times it by our mathf.radians to degrees, and that allows us to use it directly into a rotation. Alright, so back in Unity, all we want to do is now set up our player script, make sure the speed and rotation are all set up, and drag on the camera. And in the camera, I've just got it set to orthographic with a 5 size. Alright, and then you're able to hit play. And you'll see that it follows the mouse around and moves around when you use the W, A, and D keys or the arrow keys, depending on how you've set up your input settings. Now, if we change the rotation offset, what that will do is change how the player rotates in position to the mouse. So at 180, it's an inverted control. And back at 0, it just follows the mouse. And that's pretty much it for the top-down shooter. If you have any comments, please do leave them. I read them all and try to answer as many as possible. And if you have any problems, also leave it in the comments. I'll try and fix them up as quickly as I can. Thanks for watching.